blastmusic247.com. We're changing the industry one artist at a time.
Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. It feels like it's been so long since I've seen you. If it's your first time joining me, I'm Courtney West, and you're on According to Courtney. Here's the safe space that we talk about everything from Black maternal health to filling your cup to wellness, sex, or anything in between. Um, I want to start off with saying happy end to Black Maternal Health Week and happy 420 for whoever going to those things. And we're here just to be celebrating right now. I'm so excited to see you guys. So today I'm super excited to have this guest today because coming off of Black Maternal Health Week, the theme was that our bodies still belong to us. Due to the changing climate, you see a lot of new laws are coming in that are on controlling of a woman's body. Black Maternal Health Week actually was made in 2018 by Black Mothers Matter Alliance, and they put it together that these stories need to be told. Not only our numbers, the differences in our death rates, and everything else. And then so this week was really focusing on that and also inspiring and talking to our Black birth workers. So with that being said, a lot of things that we talk about is like who heals the healers. So as Black birth workers, we're out here and we're pouring our hearts out and dealing with, racial prejudice and all these things you internalize, and we get sick. We get tired. And it's like, well, who do you go to? And some people go to the doctor, and that's great. But then some people are like blessed enough to have work in more something that's more homeopathic, who may know an herbalist or someone who's amazing who works in that type of space. So today, I'm super excited to have Carmen Ramirez joining us today and telling us about the great work we do. So for myself, when I got sick and there's something wrong with my family, I don't go to the doctor. I go to Carmen.
Hi, Courtney. I'm Carmen.
Hi, I'm so happy to have you in the space, Carmen. So here on According to Courtney, I always like to open up by asking you 3 questions, and just to kind of just really ground the space. So first, what is your name and where's your name from? 2, where are you from and your people are from? And 3, what information you want to leave in the space today?
So I'm Carmen Ramirez. The Ramirez came when I got married. I'm originally from New York City. My parents are from Panama, Central America. We moved to Tampa in 2016. I already had most of my acupuncture, my doula training. And even so, it was rough because it was very new city to me. We didn't really have any roots here, any connections. When Jenny's training came over to St. Pete, by sheer luck, I was up at 3 a.m. online and just happened to see this, and I said, "Whoa, this is what I need to do." And that's how I connected with you, Courtney, and so many other amazing birth workers. So I'm very grateful to Jenny Joseph and to you, and making that space available for all of us to come together from all these various backgrounds. And I was still sort of in the interim of like, okay, I got to complete some graduate work here for Florida, because Florida is real interesting. When you move here, it's like, yeah, it's nice, but now we want you to do this extra study, which is fine. It's all good. And here I am. I was very blessed to make these connections, because once I started my practice, I was able to really, I knew what I was going to do. Like I knew I was going to be birth focused. I knew it was going to be women's care. Yes, pain management 100 and 200% because acupuncture is very well known for pain, but it's
Mm-hmm.
so amazing for fertility, for perinatal care, all the things, and so much for postpartum. I have additional training as a Western herbalist, so I bring in the East and the West herbs.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a big passion for like Mayan abdominal massage, which is something that's very effective and easy actually to teach people to do for themselves. So, kind of piggybacking on that whole idea of how do we, what can I give you to take back, your little grain, your kernel of self healing? I think that would be one of the things because I'm very passionate about us being able to heal ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the light of what's happening to us as women in this country. We have to have that sisterhood. We have to have those networks. We have to have those tools. And I'm only one person, I can't see everybody in Tampa Bay. So my goal is to put the information out there. And a big part of that was starting the community acupuncture that's focused on perinatal. So it's called CAMA, CAMA, which translates to bed, but it's really the community acupuncture maternal axis. So wherever you are in that circle, whether you birthed 20, 30 years ago, or you're about to birth in 2 or 3 days, this is a place for you to come get acupuncture, come with your doula, come with your midwife, come with your auntie, whoever it is, come with your kids. And I will give you a treatment, community style acupuncture, but also hopefully be able to teach you something that you can take back with you or your doula can take back with you. Because really, that's how I think, in my humble opinion, how things change. It's education, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had this one client, a birthing client, I think it was a year ago, and I just saw her again a year after. She was someone who was attempting a VBAC, and she was hospital-based birth. I do most of my birth in the hospital.
Okay.
I love the uninterrupted physiological births that we can have at home and in birth centers. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that's, unfortunately, it's not available to a lot of us in the Black and Brown communities. Insurance is a big gatekeeper of these things. So I have my own take on insurances, which has changed over the years.
Mm.
Yeah.
We
So
we're here. Well, it's free space. We get all into all of it. So I completely understand.
yeah, I mean, it's tricky, but sometimes the gatekeeping is completely out of control. And
Mm-hmm.
it lands us in positions where we feel, even if we're educated, even if we've done the homework, even if we've done the research and have the experience and have the voice, we're still working in a system that doesn't listen to us because there's just this innate ingrained racism and sexism where we just don't listen to people. And there's also elitism, right? Like we have,
Mm-hmm.
it's like we might see uh, maybe a full figured person and it's like all your problems are related to your weight. No, they're not.
Absolutely.
So there's so many isms in the system that really make it so difficult for us to birth in a natural physiological way. So that's why I feel like being in the hospital setting was initially my best place to be of service.
Mm-hmm.
But it is taxing long term. It really is draining on the spirit of us as doulas. So back again to how we heal ourselves, I am hoping to really be able to launch more of that training out there because education is key.
Absolutely, absolutely. Karma, I'd like to back up a little bit and really express to people exactly who you are and what do you do? Because you're talking about acupuncture, there's so many things, and you're a doula. So that's why they was like, well, who is Carmen? Carmen is all these things. So I would like you to sum it up so people understand who
Sure.
when I tell people and give your people your name. So what do you need? I say, oh, you need a Carmen Ramirez. They're like, what does that mean? I said, oh, you'll call her and she'll tell you exactly what you need, but just call her. So, how do you describe yourself?
So I am a mom, a wife, and I had my daughter. We had our daughter in 2015, so she's just about 8 and a half. And it was on that journey because it was a challenging fertility journey for us being an older mom. When we finally did conceive, it was very considered high risk, even though my pregnancy was super chill, wonderful, happiest I've been in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But again, the system labels you and puts these ideas in your head. power of words, language is so amazingly profound. But and I had a hospital compliance background, so I was very comfortable in the hospital setting. But when you put me as the in a vulnerable space of the geriatric mother of a first time, pregnancy,
Mm-hmm.
all of that other falls apart, and it's like, oh, now I'm really vulnerable. So that was my experience as a mom initially, which is rough. While I was pregnant, I discovered what a doula was, and I said, this is amazing. Like, I didn't even know this existed. And being from a big city like New York, health is very different. It's very systemic, it's very MD focused, very OB driven. The idea of a midwife, the idea of a freestanding birth center didn't exist back then. But I was very curious about what a doula did, what they could do for a person like myself and for my family. So I found someone. It wasn't maybe the best fit, but I was still just smitten with the idea of just supporting people and learning about the birthing process. So about fast forward a few months, I had my daughter, went through postpartum, and I went back into looking for doula training. At that time, I was still in acupuncture school. I had actually just started about maybe year two, so I wasn't even in clinic. But I could see, like, this is really interesting. And as time evolved, there was an amazing opportunity as we considered relocating to Florida because I have no family. My husband doesn't have family in New York. Being a new parent, we just said we need to be near family. And the only living family we have in the States is my sister. So my background, my parents are from Panama. My mom has passed away. My father's back in Panama. And, we just felt like that call to have more family. So we said, all right, Florida, here we come. And we made the move to Tampa, not having a lot of connections or people here. Um, I was still looking for my way, like, okay, I got to do this extra training per the state so I can actually practice as an acupuncturist, even though I had done all of the training in New York already. And one of the going away gifts that I got while I was in graduate school in New York that was Pacific College. They had an amazing program with NYU Brooklyn.
Okay.
Indeed, it was your choice of labor and delivery or physical medicine and rehab. Everybody gravitates to physical medicine and rehab as an acupuncturist because that's what acupuncture is really known for pain, and we do marvelous things for pain. But then there was this L&D opportunity, and I was like, oh, that's like I just came out of L&D, like this is speaking to me. So I jumped on it, and they knew I would be leaving after the internship. I wasn't going to stay. They offered me a position. I said I would love to, but my heart is already in Florida. It's already gone from the Big Apple to the Big Orange. So
Mhm.
it was an amazing opportunity. I will never forget the very first birthing person I helped was last name was Ramirez.
Oh.
We were non-English, Spanish-speaking natives, a big immigrant population in that part of the city. So they just kind of just threw me in there. And we did needles, but we also did a lot of acupressure. And that was the really interesting part because it was like, you can just do these points with your hands. And that always stayed with me. And that's what really has been like the seed. Like we all have hands, right? We all have
Mhm.
these 10 little tools. Why can't we teach other people in the birthing community how to do this? And that's where I'm at now. Being here in Florida, there's some limitations on scope of practice. I have a lot of colleagues in other parts of the world who can teach midwives how to use needles, and they have amazing outcomes doing acupuncture throughout the pregnancy. Um, Not the case here, not allowed in the States. We,
Hmm.
yeah, we can't do ear seeds, which I meant to grab a set, but I forgot to grab a set. So ear seeds are
Mhm.
basically points that we put on the ear. The idea is that the ear is like this little microcosm of the whole body. So we can basically treat the whole body, similar to like reflexology, right? You go to the nail salons and they have the little reflexology charts on the walls with the points on the feet.
Mhm.
We treat the whole body with the ears. And actually, it's not like phony baloney. Like there's the Department of Defense is actually one of the biggest users of that kind of medicine.
Really?
The battlefield acupuncture is the protocol that they've developed. So the idea is to really get their vets and some of their, their soldiers away from pain meds, because we all know the whole thing with the addiction with.
Absolutely.
So they've been using 5 needles, 5 points on the ear, up to 5 points, sometimes
Hmm.
five, and it's just one ear, and it's very effective medicine. So even though we can't use the needles, if I want to train, a doula, a midwife, we can use ear seeds, and it's an active
Okay.
seed, and it's held in place with a little adhesive, and it's very effective. And again, I can teach that to anyone, and I send them home with this little kit, and you replace the seeds, and you have to move it around a little bit, but amazing outcomes, especially with things like, believe it or not, preeclampsia. I have,
Mm.
yeah, I have a colleague out in Minnesota, and she's been doing some of the research there, and they've been able to treat very well. Not, preeclampsia is one of those scary things that happens a lot in our communities, so misunderstood. Unfortunately, bringing it back down, bringing back the levels is very hard to do. It's a vicious cycle. It's a real monster. But if you can just keep it at baseline and maybe help that person stay pregnant a little bit longer, you can make
Hmm.
a difference. So my whole thing is like, if I can teach more people, more doulas, more midwives, families how to do these points with this very simple tool, plus the body points with our 10 fingers, I mean, that's a home run to me. Like, I can send you home with all that information, and you can have more body autonomy, right? You can have more self-care tips. And sometimes that's all a person really needs in the system. It's just something that they can hold for themselves, that they feel like they have some control over, regardless of the outcome. So I'm not,
Absolutely.
did I hit all three of your questions?
You listen. I'm just like, I love that, Carmen. You're such a gift, and then to give that type of autonomy really does something for a person when you're in a lot of pain and the
Yeah.
system's not listening to you. Nothing else. You feel like everything is going against you, and you can take yourself and remove it. It's like I'm still in control of my body.
Yes.
I
So,
feel right. And I feel that's so important during birth. But yeah, even as birth workers, like we carry so much in our shoulders and our backs and our hips from moving bodies. And then also just the stress of being a birth worker, especially a birth worker of color and holding space and having to hold traumas. It's like, I feel like it's really important for us to go get healed. And what are some things that you would be good for us to do? I think that I've done the ear seed. You've done it for me, and it was amazing.
I mean, because we do so much physical, a lot of doulas, not all doulas, but a lot of doulas do carry a lot of physical, tension in their body, because they're doing a lot of physical work, right? Moving people, using rebozos and all the things. I love cupping. Like, cupping is
Oh
my
yeah.
number one go-to for all of the structural things. And even though there's different methods of cupping, like if you go to a PT, they might use a silicone cup. I go very traditional. I go with a glass or a fire cup, and it's
Mm.
cool to see you done. You got to come into the office, ma'am.
I do. I remember I was in this is like I've known it's Carmen. I've known Carmen for a very long time.
That's right.
And when back in 2019, early 2020, I had a center in Sanderland, and I was carrying so much pain and tension because it was just stressful. I was working 7 days a week, plus running the center and everything else. And it was the grand opening of the center, and my back flared up, and I'm like, Carmen, I can't move. I'm crying. I said, what are we gonna do? And you're like, hold on, I have my cups. And I'll never forget that. I was like, you like, hold on, close the door. We're not opening anything right now. Everybody sit down, be quiet, send positive energy or get out. I was like, okay, all right, this is happening. All right, get ready, lay down. I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden I hear whoosh, whoosh, whoosh.
And
Those
you
cups,
feel it, right? You feel that
yes.
suction.
I
And
had never had been cupped before. So I was like, oh, this is awesome.
like, the best way I can explain it for those who've never had the experience, it's akin to a massage, but kind of the opposite. So massage is really pressing down, right? It's that pressing down to stimulate circulation. With the cup, we're actually going up. So we're sucking
Mhm.
up. And in that bringing it up action, we're actually bringing blood, right, from the deeper cellular levels up to that connective tissue, that fascia, which science, biomedicine is finally catching on. That fascia is super important for all of our health. This is what I call the beef jerky. Like if you ever see a skin, like an autopsy, it's that sheer, almost whitish connective tissue that we have
Mhm.
across everything from your eyeballs to your pinky toes. And it looks like beef jerky. And it's kind of dry and crinkly, but it really reacts very well to things like massage, cupping, and
Mhm.
acupuncture.
Okay.
Acupuncture in the right places, done by the right person, can do so many good things for that connective tissue because it's sending out those messages, to those receptors like increased circulation. So what's in the blood? We got oxygen, we got nutrition, right? So we're increasing our oxygen level, our nutrient levels to all of the body. When we do that, the body goes from that fight or flight mode into rest, relax,
Mhm.
healing. So all of that inflammation, because almost everything in our symptoms in all of our disease dictionaries is some sort of itis, meaning some sort of inflammation. So once we're able to increase that blood circulation, bring in fresh oxygenated blood and the nutrients that carries in those blood cells, the body feels nourished. And that's what we're trying to do for each one of our patients is nourish that level of connective tissue. When we feel nourished in the connective tissue, the inflammation process starts coming down. And when
Mhm.
that starts coming down, then we're able to heal on another level. Like the body has that ability to heal, doesn't want to be in that fight or flight mode. The other thing that I really focus on is breath. Breath work is
Mhm.
so key to my practice. Everybody gets the inhale for 4, exhale for 5, little spiel.
Yeah.
I do a little hypnopuncture, so I combine like a little self hypnosis with a little acupuncture. So I teach people like an anchor image. So it's something tangible. You're using like your 3 fingers, so like your peace fingers and your thumb. And I do a very short mini script. If it's appropriate, if it feels right for you, I record it for you. You play it for yourself, and then I play you a coming out of, like a wake up script that you play or have somebody play for you. And that sort of healing, it's akin to an actual hypnosis. Like you're in that different brainwave. I believe it's the theta brainwave.
Mm.
You're able to be conscious of what's going on. Like you're not completely out of it. You still hear the doorbell if it rings. You still hear the dog barking, but you're able to come out of the thinking, out of the monkey mind, right? That's what they call it.
Mhm.
Or we just can't stop with the ruminating thoughts because after you've attended a labor, man, you know how it is. Everything you're breaking down everything, and that's so difficult to turn.
Yes.
So this is why I tell all the birth workers who I'm in my community, like, come on down. I really encourage you, but I know it's hard to make the time for ourselves. But making that time will pay off in the long haul because then we're able to better serve our community, be show up for our families and ourselves. So
Mhm. So let me ask you, because you touched on a thing, and I know I'm very guilty of it. Why do you think, as birth workers, we give so well to other people, but we do not give to ourselves?
ooh, that's a tough one because I'm there too.
Mhm.
I think a lot of it has come from just the experience from a lot of us that maybe growing up we weren't receiving help. We were either the older sibling or just the smartest sibling. There's a lot of us in the black and brown communities. That's my experience. I don't know that for certain for everyone, but there's a certain level of responsibility. Like coming
Mhm.
from a family of first generation, my parents were immigrants to this country. One of them spoke fluent English, the other one did not. So it was like I became a translator for my mom. So that's a huge, mature responsibility to have. Like
Absolutely.
you're at the social security office or whatever it is, and you're translating, and that's the experience for a lot of us. We're put in these positions where it's like, well, mom and dad got to go to work. You're gonna have to figure it out, and
Mhm.
having that level of maturity is a blessing, but it can also be very traumatic. And we don't
Mhm.
even see it. And we're trying to do better for our kids. I know you certainly are. And I
Yeah.
see that all the time, and it's a beautiful thing. And I have those sincere conversations with my daughter, and I tell her, at your age, your auntie and I we're taking the trains by ourselves to go to and from home to school, coming
Mhm.
home, we're latchkey kids. So that tremendous level of, I think, responsibility at a young age kind of sets us up to be like, I got this, I got this. And
Mhm.
it's go, go, go. And then unfortunately, in Chinese medicine, we say there's the yin and the yang. So that yang energy, when we're young, we're really supposed to be more yin. We're supposed to be
Mm.
very fluid and very flowy and very silly. We're not really supposed to be stern and sit still and be, young yet. Young is for later on in life when we get into our 20s and our, teenage years. But with that understanding in mind, I see like her nature is so different than I was at 7, 8 years old. My gosh, it is a world of difference. And
Mhm.
it's difficult to get out of the young state of mind. And unfortunately, and I've seen this firsthand where people, especially women, um, that go or that young energy is so strong in us that it takes a big doozy of a thing to knock us, to get us to stop. So that's where, unfortunately, big time diseases or, health issues, crisis, force us to stop in our tracks. It's like, well, I was knocking on the door trying to tell you to stop, but you didn't stop.
Right.
It's like, well, I got a cold and everybody in the household has a cold, but I got to take care of everybody. So
Absolutely.
take care of ourselves, but we make sure they're all good. And that unfortunately has become kind of an MO, modest, just the way we all function. But we have to start breaking down like those patterns. I think when we talk about things like generational wealth, it's
Mhm.
not a big focus just on finances. I think generational wealth can be things like knowing how to prepare a bone broth for your family so that
Mhm.
everybody has something nutritious. Because if we're all healthy, health is wealth, right? Then
Mhm.
days at work, at school, we're not losing out on paying co-pays and buying tons of potentially useless medication. So we're not spending on our health.
Mhm.
So if we invest in our health, we're not spending on our health, on our ill health later on. So when we talk about generational, wealth building, I think a lot of it stems from having that healer in the family or that healer in that community and that educator, because it's healer slash educator. Those two things to me always have to go hand in hand.
Absolutely. And it's such an important skill that I feel like people have not lost, but you have it in your own little ways. You might remember your granny would make you drink this or do this, but just really the big bulk of it, I feel we've lost out on. And how important it is like to remind yourself you can heal yourself, because sometimes
Yes.
that's the easiest thing to do is like, let me drink some tea to take moments to nourish myself because I don't have a lot of time. I got to
Mm,
get the kids up, but I know I'm going to take this time to nourish myself in
yes.
this way and try to retrain the brain. I talked about this yesterday at a speaking engagement, was that superhero syndrome.
Mm,
As being a black woman or a woman of color, you have to be a superhero. Hero. We're not allowed to be human. We're not allowed to be vulnerable. Especially as a birth worker, I feel in the lens of people are like, "Oh, you're so amazing. I don't know how you're able to do it." And
mm,
I've turned to people, I said, because I'm able to hold and give a lot of joy and hold a lot of pain.
mm,
And they looked at me, I said, "That's the truth." If
mm,
you ask any birth worker, even though we do this out of immense joy, there's usually a ripple of pain,
mm.
either that we have suffered or someone else in our family has suffered, that has made us come to where we are today. We are healing women for a reason, but it takes other healers to heal each other, to teach us to heal ourselves. And I feel like we miss that. And it's just like being around you, Carmen. Like I'll go long times and not see you. When I do, I'm like, oh, I miss you, because it reminds myself that healing is so important. And to pass that down early on to your children. I am very thankful to look at my girls and be like, oh, you got a cold? Oh, okay. And they know what the deal is. Oh, mom's making bone broth, or we're
Mm,
out of bone broth. You kind of slacking. What are we doing? And that to be a normal thing. And I got a 16-year-old who's soon to be 16-year-old. And
A 16-year-old. No.
I know Jayla will be 16 on May 23rd. It's crazy. Got a 16-year-old. And this gush moment. So if I talk about my children, but I don't talk about my children because my children are the most sacred entity to my life, are my daughters. And if you to know me, you would have to know that about me, that my life is my children. And so Jalen is just growing into this person. Oh, I'm gonna cry. It's crazy. And to know and watch her heal herself as a first thought. Oh, my stomach hurts. Let me drink some raspberry tea. My cramps are probably coming. I should
Oh,
probably rest.
you see, that's beautiful. That's a
And
beautiful gift. I see that, I hear that, and I feel like your ancestors are smiling. Oh my gosh, because that's one of the problems of our modern world, our modern society, this westernized capitalist system. And I try not to get on a tangent too much about these things, but it's really disconnected us tremendously. But we have to ship our children off. We have no choice to
right,
be away from the hearth, the home, the mother, the womb. From the moment we give birth, they're taking our kids away for all these things.
right.
And it's a continued thing, and it's a systemic thing. It's the healthcare system, it's the education system, because all of these systems, unfortunately, are based on a profit capitalist system where we are just worker bees. We are not meant to flourish in tribal, communal settings. We're just not set up for that. But we are coming into our own and reconnecting to those.
Mm-hmm.
You said, like, we knew, oh yeah, we knew these things. We just forgot them because we
Mm-hmm.
in the hustle. The hustle is the most dangerous true life stealing, I think, experience that we have. And for a long time, I grew up coming from New York. It's like, yeah, you definitely have to have a hustle. What do you mean
Mm-hmm.
you got a hustle? But then it took someone, she's an herbalist and she was a bit of a business coach for me. She's like, you don't want that hustle anymore. You need to come to
Mm-hmm.
a place where you can actually have support. And that is just so challenging to do, but it is absolutely feasible. I think I started telling you about the woman I helped birth. She was a VBAC at the hospital. I think she was maybe 4 births. And, her maternal medicine folks probably failed her a little bit, but the hospital, when we were at the actual hospital birth, they were very respectful, very transparent. They brought her old medical records from her previous birth. So they were very sincere. We went into the cesarean at that point with clear, open mind. I saw her a year later, and she told me, she goes, my kids still remember what you taught me about iodine. I was like, what? Like, sometimes you don't realize, like, the seeds that you plant, they can grow, and you forget that you even mentioned you had this discussion. I was like, oh yeah, we were doing iodine, topical iodine, boom, something so simple. Like, iodine used to be readily available in all of our salts before the
Mm-hmm.
70s. And then little by little it started becoming non-iodized, and now we're all on a Himalayan sea salt, blah 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 kick. And a lot of these salts don't have that basic nutrition that we need, that basic mineral for life, iodine,
Mm-hmm.
to our reproductive system, key for the thyroid. And most of us are actually quite deficient. So just doing something simple like applying a 50%, 15% iodine solution, which unfortunately is not the iodine you buy like at the drugstore. You have to order it, like custom order it. 50%, 15% iodine. You put a couple of drops on your forearms because the skin absorbs, and it absorbs very well. And she said, yeah, I was doing that. And my kids saw me painting on the iodine. They thought it was cool. So they still remember it a year later from our last connection. So when I see things like that, I'm like, I don't have a big family, but I feel like a big family is not limited to biological family. Like, biologically, I don't have a big family, but communal level, I have a ginormous family. Like, every birth I've supported, I feel like there's a little bit of our, energetic connection. And that's a very rewarding feeling. And I know that that's why a lot of doulas do what we do, because in a way it is healing, right? It's tremendous,
Mm-hmm.
and it's empowering. It's sacrifice, right? But I think it's a very giving to ourselves if we do it right, if we do it in balance. that's where the key lies. Everything lies in doing things in balance. So
Absolutely. Ooh, that's so good. You gave all the warm and fuzzies. So we're at a midpoint right now where we're gonna stop and actually, show the music of the week. And
Yes, indeed. Great show, ladies.
mm,
The artist spotlight today, his name is Yamasani, and this song is called Circle of Life. Let's check it out.
Oh, now that's real. Pops a rolling stone that flatten grass fields. My mandatory raps a passive act spill. React like Drax will relax, I'm past chill.
This manifestation of imagination is just a creation of communication within integration system like the matrix filled with entertainment past this education.
Court-appointed lawyers for blacks in litigation. Corporate enormous tax cut and evasion. Saw George Floyd on the news and couldn't take it. It's hard to tightrope walk it all, but I'm a Grayson. One day we not gonna be passive with the slaying. One day we might just put action to the saying. One day we'll stop all the blasting and the spraying and stop carrying weapons that will smith you like Jaden. To be free to you, to them is disobeying. They told you to get into heaven, you needed praying. They left out the heavens, your thoughts, and where you haven. It's not you, it's we, it's deep, it's complicated.
One day you have it, one day you have it, go away. One day you have it, one day you have it, go away, go away. Don't take it serious, serious. It's an experience, experience. Don't take it serious, serious. It's an experience, experience. Shine bright like a solar light. No, we can make everything alright. Yeah.
Shine bright like a solar light, and know you can make everything alright. Yeah.
Shine bright like a solar light. You know we can make everything alright. Yeah.
Shine bright like a solar light, and know you can make everything alright.
Yeah, you gon' get it today. I'ma send it your way. This a clinic, don't forget every visit you pay.
It's cringeworthy to say I've been perfect, cause hey, the kids calling my name. I'm too busy to play.
This a scrimmage, shirt skins, the ending is late. Life's a scary movie with hands digging your plate to take the dividends, dollars and pennies you make. I'm transparent with you, even when you really opaque. Marcus Aurelius states, everything you hear is an opinion, not a fact. But is that really the case? Cause we all know planes leave a chemical trace. And we knew he was guilty, you see Zimmerman's face. And we all want to crash in the video chase. And we want that Heidi to let us feel on her waist. And we know one day we will see God's grace transcend our body and be up in outer space.
Bright like a solar light. No, we can make everything alright. Yeah. One day you have it, one day you have it. Shine bright like a solar light. You know we can make everything alright. Yeah. One day you have it, one day you have it. Don't take it serious, serious. It's an experience, experience. Don't take it serious, serious. It's an experience, experience. Shine bright like a solar light. No, we can make everything alright. Yeah.
Shine bright like a solar light, and know you can make everything alright. Yeah.
Shine bright like a solar light. You know we can make everything alright. Yeah.
Shine bright like a solar light, and know you can make everything alright. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. That's my guy Yamasani with Dr. Chris. I forgot her last name, but that is, oh my goodness, I had a complete brain fart. Circle of Life. It's the weekend.
you
So
get
if
it?
you, yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
love that.
Yes, indeed. If you're an independent artist or a spoken word poet that is looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. The beautiful thing is Blast needs the fans of music. So if you love great music, just like Gat from Yamasani, you can also go to blastmusic247.com, register under the Unlimited Fan, and have the opportunity to listen to hundreds and hundreds of independent music. Blast, we are still constantly changing the industry one artist at a time. All right, ladies, back to y'all.
Thank you.
I love that. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm so glad. So if you guys are just joining us, we have Carmen Ramirez, acupuncturist, herbalist, doula, all the wonderful things, all the healing things, talking about different ways that we are able to heal ourselves. And where we left off, you made something such a poignant point of being about a doula and how about family. Family is not all blood. And when you're doing birth work, I do feel like you do energetically connect in a different way because you share such an intimate moment with people and you're able to look in their babies and be like, I knew you before you were fully earthside. And what that feels like so many years different of just like, I've been doing this almost 8 years and to look at my first baby born of me as a doula is like crazy. Like, whoa. Oh, I was there. I saw you before your mommy did. And that's just so amazing.
It's humbling.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I still remember my first birth here in Florida, and as an independent doula, because I did do some work for the county for a bit, but as an independent doula, my first birth was someone whose kid is actually my kid's friend now, and they're 3 years apart. And I will always look at her and I will never forget that day. And I look at her and I'm like, how are you so big? Like, that's so,
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, I'm old. Like, it just makes me see, like, I remember coming to your mama's house the night before her induction, like putting body points, magnets on her points. And she had the most beautiful induction. And that was her first baby. And she was, of course, you know how it is. You're scared that first baby. You don't know what to expect. And it is a beautiful thing. There is
Oh, I love that.
so many blessings being a doula.
Mm-hmm.
I do think we tend to have a little bit more karmic points than like good karma points. I want to believe that. So we should probably play lotto.
Listen, I feel like we're beyond blessed. We're beyond blessed because we be doing it. And it's such a beautiful thing to see that and to tell them when they're older their birth stories. I
Yeah.
enjoy that. Like when you still know them and you're still close. I have clients now from when I first started. That's fam. And they'll tell you, oh no. Courtney was my doula, but that's fam. That's the auntie to my babies. That's my girl for life. And I listening to them tell their birth stories about the experiences, like, well, this is what you did for me. And this is like you want to cry because it's like, I love you. You deserve this. Why would I not do this?
You get to witness this birth, and I feel like on one hand, I feel like it makes you more respectful for your fellow human being. Oh, I love the little finger thing. What it does. It makes you more respectful for human life, so you tend to be like more approachable and more just giving people grace. Just remembering that we're having this crazy human experience. This person presenting themselves in front of me right now, the public is being a real beep, but you can find grace, to allow them to be their full expression of their human self. And the other thing is, I think we really need to be reconnecting more to the idea of us knowing what our birth story was. Like I get patients on the table who are like, sometimes as old as 80 years old. And it's like, do you know what your birth story was like? And they have no idea. Some of them don't know. Some of them do know very well, like the ones who were born in the country or born at home. It's a different experience. But I think it's really important. And that's another factor, like in our medical history. That's sometimes that little missing piece that no one can figure out. Well, your mom was in labor for like umpteen hours. There was a cord wrapped around your neck. A part of our health, right? Health history that no one ever really thinks to ask about. Witnesses to others' births and being a reminder of their birth stories, I think, is another beautiful aspect of our work.
Oh, I think that's kind of like the best part. I feel like I was just having this conversation with someone else the other day about we should record people's birth stories and how much we would learn, even with connections as mothers. I was speaking about that. I was like, I never truly understood my mom's birth story. I know what she said. It took 3 days of labor. There's 3 women in my birth, the midwife, my grandmother, and my aunt. I birthed with 3 women. I labored for 3 days, and it was such an experience that she never wanted to do it again. And that was it. And she was like, it was like no meds, no nothing. I was supposed to have the doctor. The doctor didn't come. It was the midwife. But that's it. And that's a lot of power. And I can take my birth story and I express to people as being the 3 gems. I said I was born of 3 gems. I was pressed to be 3 gems. I wouldn't be who I am. It's without those people. I am the way that I am. My concept of thought is different because I was born of a midwife. And so that's what makes me me. And so people don't realize how you start can really perpetuate who you are in life. And when you're able to be born not of trauma, but with peace and joy and laughter, what does that do to a person? What does that change your everything that you were born in joy?
There's a tradition in some Muslim families where they will not speak, not allow any sound to be made once the baby's born. The baby's name has to be said in a prayer. And I had a family who ended up in a cesarean birth and they had to request that. And that was a really big request. The chaos of a room to request complete silence for that moment. Like to me, I feel like it's like the chiming of a bell, the breath of life, like sanctifying that moment. That sort of energy most definitely puts you on a whole other level of cellular vibration that will carry on for life, versus you were rushed into an emergency room and there's people just talking over you and all this craziness. That's vibration. We are vibration. We are, we're electric under all of this meat. We're all in electric. What is electricity if it is not vibration, right? It's chi, it's prana, whatever you want to call it, all these different traditions. So yes, absolutely. I agree 100% with you. And I know what the 3 gems is about. That's so beautiful, Courtney.
It took a long time because I had so many different answers for that when I first started. I was like, but it was the same. It's like, it's my grandmother, it's my godmother, it was this, it's that. But the more I thought about it and went into my work and really thought about why does this resonate with me, and I joke and say, well, it took me 3 days of long birth to get here, but it took those 3 women in my life who stuck in my life. And I thought that was very interesting. And that when my mom met Jenny Joseph, that's the first thing that she said to her. I remember her picking her up, swinging her around like, oh my God, that's Jenny Joseph. What are you doing? And she was like, my daughter loves you. And the reason why she loves you is because it took her 3 days to get here. And she was born of a midwife and her grandmother and her aunt. And with me, and you remind her of all of those people. And I was just like, don't be telling my business.
You knew that story before?
I did, but it never clicked like that. And it's also different for like how you grow up and you hear your story, especially in Black culture. There's usually, it feels like there's a negative connotation to it, not understanding someone's pain. And so for me, it was always like, what a burden it was. It took 3 days that the doctor couldn't even make it. So the midwife had to do it. And so, which was kind of nice because it kind of worked well because my grandmother was from the country. So having the midwife be there, having my great aunt be there, and her joke was my hip and my shoulder has never been the same because my mom braced her legs on her and held her. My grandmother had one side, my aunt had the other, and she put her weight and braced her body into them. They absorbed her to get me out. So the story is my hip ain't been the same because of you. My shoulder still out of place because of you. You remember your birth story, right? So it was always that kind of connotation to it. So I was like, and so like that joke of that rain joke, you'll always be a pain in my side. That was it. That was that. So it's interesting to see it in that way. It was the first time I clicked like, oh, wait, that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. That's so empowering. Like you kept saying three, and I mean, three is so powerful.
Mm.
Like a table, like any structure that has that three, it has a better base, a better foundation, the three. And you see the three repeated in so many different traditions and in architecture, right? So there's something very powerful about the three.
The three is my thing. The three is between being raised with those really being raised with three women, main women in my life, me being a mother of two daughters and I was a single mom for a very long time with my three. That was my three. It's like I
Yes.
knew at the end of the day that it was always three. Me, my mom my mom, and my grandmother. If I had that, I could do anything. And then when I had my girls, I was like, okay, I got this. I can do anything. There's nothing I can't do.
Yeah.
And it's just it took to grow, and that's I know in my practice of how I work with people, I move in that space. It's like I do what I do because my ancestors taught me to. I'm just doing what was done for me, and that's what I know. I don't know this experience. I know it now from working in it, but I know what the difference of being born into power than into not.
Yes. That can change how we develop for sure and how we carry ourselves. But I just absolutely love, love, love that idea of the three. The three is so powerful because we're a family of three.
Yeah.
So I remember we were learning the times table. It's like three is the magic number. You can find it on YouTube. It's like a rap song. It's like
I love it.
that's how she learned her times table. Yeah, three is the magic number.
I love it. I'm gonna have to look that up. But yeah, it's I've been blessed, very blessed to know so many great healers that have taught me about myself. And Carmen, I have to say you are just definitely one of them. I've always been in so awe of you because like Carmen walk in the room, it's just like peace, like whoosh. Everybody's chilled. Everybody is you just carry that, and you've done such intimate work, and you're able to pull pain out of people. And that is such a gift. Knowing you is such a gift.
Well, knowing you, I mean, you're a healer with your beautiful energy. You're very transparent. I love that about you, Courtney. Like I genuinely, the last time I saw you, I walked away and I said, "Bye, I love you, girl." And I'm like, "Why am I screaming I love you in the middle of this public building?" People are thinking crazy. I don't care. It's not the worst thing to hear screams.
Oh,
But you are so transparent. It's so refreshing in this world of so many, the birthing world. It's beautiful in many ways, but it can also be really laced with some weird vibes, to say the least. So I
yes.
posted something really cool. I shared it because it said, birth work is not about the glory of, oh, I did a 48-hour birth. Like, no, we're not about that. Birth work is not making it rich. It's just not. When I went into acupuncture school, I had no dreams of making myself rich, and I don't do this work to make myself rich. You can, most certainly. But I feel like anytime, again, when we are invested in something so sacred with this background of making it, rich and all these other, ideas, these capitalist ideas, I think you're lacing something so sacred. It's just not good karma, but you are the epitome of that transparent, funny, beautiful, humorous, experienced doula. You will always be a sister doula to me.
Oh, I appreciate that so much, Karma, and like you just bring so much balance and so much peace. You make me strive to be better to myself,
Yes.
and that's the thing.
Get yourself on this table here, man.
Yes, I'm so ready. Like my back is saying, like it's Carmen, it's time. But it's like you do. I think about you often and be like, it's about healing self, and then what am I teaching my daughters? Because a lot of times, even so, we're giving. It's like you won't do it for yourself, but you'll do it for your children. But it made me over time realize and think about it's like, no, I want to do it for myself because I want to feel good.
Yes.
I want to live better. So I can be the best mother I can be to my children. I can continue to show up.
And they see that. They see that Mom made time for herself. And Mom made time to get her nails done and, put on some eyebrows. It's like these things actually are important. It's not vanity. It's really, unfortunately, we've been taught And I had this conversation with someone I care for very much. He said, well, in the West, yoga is very much like a practice of the ego. And I said, well, it might start off as a practice of the ego, but I think eventually a chink opens up, a crack can come through, and they can allow themselves to receive the light of the yoga practice. So I think we have to not be too judgmental why people do things, but seriously, like there is nothing wrong with taking that time for ourselves and our daughters, our children, whether you have boys or girls. If you have boys, then they will become men who encourage that, right? To their partners, be they male, be they female. If we have daughters, then they will know, like, hey, I need to put on my thing and do my thing, because that's how a lot of that trauma from our moms and moms before them, because they didn't necessarily have the time or the space or the means, the resources. So there's
Absolutely.
a lot of generational trauma healing happening.
Yes, Carmen, it was such a delight to have you, and I would love to come back. You're welcome anytime, because I would love to keep sharing your knowledge and things that we have, and you're just such a delight.
Yes, I am grateful to have been invited. I would love to return to any time. Just let me know when you have time. And please do come grace my space.
Absolutely. And before we close out, how do we find you? Like where are you? How do we find you?
So my physical office is in South Tampa, about 15 minutes from TGH. I'm on Himes Avenue. Instagram, it's Ancient Future Med and ED. And you can get some really cool stuff. I'm actually starting the community maternal acupuncture clinic again this summer. Had to take a little hiatus. Yeah, so the idea is to really, we don't really have community acupuncture, unfortunately, here in Tampa anymore.
Right.
I would love to be, I'm trying to bring in an associate in the next 2 seasons, because I really need an acupuncture associate. I have a good backup doula collective, but now I need an acupuncture associate to kind of be more community-based acupuncture. The idea is that it would be one Saturday afternoon to start with, starting in the month of June, from about 11 to 3 a.m. You have a group of 4, maybe 5 at the most in a room. Bring your doula, bring your kids, bring whoever you want to bring. We do body points, so we do some ear points. We can do arms, we can do legs, so you don't have to be unroped. You're sitting in a comfortable chair like this, and I just do, maybe 5, 10 points. It's sliding scale, so whatever you are feel, your heart calls to you to donate. It's a really more about building community. And in the long haul, it might be offered more often. So the idea is to start off with a very specialized patient population, which is everyone in the perinatal period. Pregnant, postpartum, breastfeeding, my back hurts, I got nausea. We do nausea really well with acupuncture.
I love it.
Yeah, so that's how you can find me.
Well, thank you so much, Carmen, and to our viewers, just thank you for holding this space. Hopefully, you guys, you take this time and take this information to nourish yourselves. Remember, you're powerful, you're beautiful, you're important, and you deserve to be respected. Thank you guys so much, and it's another According to Courtney. Be blessed.